When most people think about a nuclear attack, they picture the blinding flash, the immediate destruction, and that's it. The truth is far more complicated. History's greatest nuclear disasters show us that the explosion is only the beginning. The real danger, silent, invisible, and persistent, is fallout. From Hiroshima to Chernobyl, from Fukushima to scattered nuclear test sites buried in government archives, fallout has shaped the landscape of modern fear. Sometimes its impact is subtle, like the months-long disappearance of salad greens across France after Chernobyl. Other times, the consequences are apocalyptic. Black radioactive rain falling over Japanese cities while survivors stumbled through ruined streets. Fallout does not play favorites. Sometimes one neighborhood is ruined while the next appears untouched. What looks random isn't chaos, it's physics, weather, geography, and luck. But here's the strange part, fallout is also survivable. Unlike the blast, which gives you no warning, fallout unfolds over time. And with the right information, the right decisions, and a steady mind, the odds of survival can shift dramatically in your favor. Before we get into how to protect yourself, you need to understand what fallout really is. When a nuclear device detonates or when a reactor melts down, matter is pulverized into ash, dust, soil, and debris. That material becomes irradiated, then hurled into the sky. The mushroom cloud is not just an icon of destruction, it's a delivery system. The higher the radioactive material rises, the farther the wind can carry it. Sometimes it drifts only a few miles. In extreme cases, it can cross oceans. That's why many of the victims of Hiroshima and Nagasaki never saw the blast. The black rain carried death to them. And it explains how nuclear particles from Ukraine ended up on crops in France. Fallout doesn't care about borders, it only cares about physics. What happens next is a triple threat. First, pulverization, an enormous cloud of irradiated dust and ash. Second, irradiation, those particles become toxic. And third, propulsion, they're lifted high into the atmosphere and dispersed. The result is a wave of contamination that doesn't just affect people standing in the open. Fallout settles on crops, buildings, clothing, farmland, water. Animals eat the grass. They spread it in their wool, their flesh, their droppings. It embeds itself into ecosystems and stays there. And yet, despite all of this, survival is possible. The deadliest window, the one you absolutely must outlast, is the first 72 hours. If you know what to do in that time, your odds soar. To see why, consider two astonishing survivors, Akiko Takakura, who was just 300 meters from the Hiroshima blast, and Aizo Nomura, who stood only 155 meters from ground zero. Both lived. How? They were protected by thick concrete underground, shielded from the heat and gamma radiation. In the nuclear world, distance, shielding, and time are everything. The first key is time. Fallout doesn't come instantly. It takes about 10 to 15 minutes to start falling after the detonation. That tiny window is your chance to get indoors. Once fallout begins, you do not want to be caught outside. Radiation levels skyrocket, then plummet dramatically in the first 3 days. That's why those 72 hours are so important. If you can shelter safely during that time, you've already survived the worst. Next is distance. Every foot between you and radioactive material matters. Being just a little farther away can mean the difference between sickness and survival. In the immediate aftermath, you may not be able to evacuate, but your long-term goal is clear. Get away from the source as soon as it's safe. Then shielding. Gamma radiation is incredibly powerful. It can punch through inches of solid lead. Ordinary buildings won't stop all of it, but even average structures can help. Concrete, brick, and earth are your allies. The survivors near Hiroshima were in reinforced basements. The walls saved them. The more layers you put between yourself and fallout, the better. Finally, decay. Radioactive particles weaken rapidly, especially in the first days. Within 72 hours, radiation levels drop dramatically. After a few weeks, many contaminated areas become far less dangerous. This natural decay is what you're waiting for as you shelter. Now put those four factors together: time, distance, shielding, decay. You need all of them, but you only have to manage them for a short window. That is the strategy that keeps you alive. So imagine the siren, the flash, the shockwave, or even the text alert confirming the unthinkable. Your first instinct is to run, but that's wrong. You have minutes to get inside, so take them. Cars are almost useless as shelter. Windows and thin doors won't help. What you need is depth. Go to the lowest part of the building, basements if possible. Put thick, dense material between your body and the outside world. Interior rooms with no windows are your next best option. Once inside, seal the outside out. Tape around windows and doors if you can. Block vents. Anything that prevents fine particles from drifting in is worth doing. Then strip off your outer clothing. It might be covered in radioactive dust. Shower if you're able. Wash your hair, but don't use conditioner. It can trap particles. Dry off and put on clean clothes. Do the same for pets. You don't want fallout sitting on their fur. After that, you wait. This is where panic becomes your enemy. The truth is much more hopeful than the movie suggests. Modern nuclear weapons are terrifying, but their deadliest effects are concentrated within about a mile of the blast. If you're outside that zone, your odds are already higher than most people assume. The real danger is the fallout afterwards, and that can be managed. Inside your shelter, focus on supplies. Food and water are your lifelines. Ideally, you'll have a basic emergency kit ready, what many people call a bug-out bag. But even if you don't, conserve what you have. Do not eat anything from outside the shelter. Fallout dust can cling to packaging. Water must come from sealed containers. If you have a radio, keep it on. It will tell you when it's safe to move. Radiation drops shockingly fast. 1,000 Roentgens per hour can fall to 10 within 3 days. That's why the goal is simply endurance. Those 72 hours are your battlefield. Survive them, and the world outside becomes far less deadly. Not safe, not yet, but manageable enough that you can plan your next move. Once the 3-day threshold passes, short trips outside become possible, if absolutely necessary. But even before fallout reaches you, preparation helps immensely. If you hear about a nuclear meltdown or explosion hundreds of miles away, do not ignore it. Fallout can travel on the wind and reach distant cities within hours. Seal your home, gather supplies, and shelter immediately. Waiting for official confirmation can cost you time you don't have. Preparation is not paranoia, it's prudence. Food, water, a plan, and a few tools can make all the difference. Professionals recommend keeping at least 2 weeks of food and water stored. Your long-term path is escape, reaching a safer zone. That might mean heading inland toward higher elevation or away from population centers. Some people build dedicated shelters, reinforced rooms with thick walls and filtered airflow, but upgrading a basement, storm shelter, or interior room with extra barriers, wood, brick, sandbags can be enough. Just a few extra inches of dense material can dramatically reduce penetrating radiation. Your emergency kit matters. Potassium iodide tablets protect your thyroid from radioactive iodine, a major killer in fallout zones. One cheap pill can block deadly absorption for 24 hours. A good gas mask can prevent inhalation of radioactive particles, smoke, or chemicals. A proper filter protects against contaminants. An emergency radio gives you information when cell towers go down. And sturdy protective clothing helps you move through contaminated areas when the time comes to relocate. If you're forced to leave your primary shelter, having multiple backup routes and destinations increases your odds. Maybe you head to the countryside, maybe you go to a family cabin. You need options. The more you think through possible outcomes now, the calmer you will be when it counts. But ultimately, your greatest tool is knowledge. The more you understand the timeline, the physics, the nature of fallout, the better you can respond when seconds matter. You don't have to memorize every detail, just understand the rhythm. Seek shelter, wait out the first 3 days, then move with caution. Nuclear events are terrifying, but they are not always guaranteed death sentences. More people can survive them than most realize if they take the right steps. Even at Hiroshima, people closer to the blast than anyone should have survived did exactly that, because they were in the right place at the right time. No one wants to live through such a moment, but ignoring the possibility does not make it disappear. Preparation transforms fear into action. It gives you power over uncertainty. And one day, if the unthinkable happens, that knowledge may be the reason you live. In the aftermath of a nuclear event, the world changes. Authorities will issue advisories, safe zones will be established, fallout will decay, life somehow continues. But those first days, those first decisions matter more than anything that follows. If there's one message to walk away with, it's this: survival is not luck, it's awareness, calm, shelter, and time. You don't need a bunker, you don't need a hazmat suit. You need clear thinking, practical preparation, and patience. The blast may be unavoidable, the fallout may be relentless, but the outcome is not predetermined. The first 72 hours are your test. Past that, and you'll have the chance to rebuild, regroup, and move forward. And sometimes, that's all survival really is.